What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a vintage Kenner Star Wars market update. And we talked about my views on the economy and my views on collectibles prices and how I think they have peaked. Well, there are a lot of items on this list that absolutely destroy my argument. Some of the prices in this batch of vintage Star Wars items, the prices are... I just don't understand what is going on in the market. So maybe I'm proven wrong. We're going to reevaluate in June of 2023 to see how right I was. I'm hoping I'm wrong. But these prices, I just don't think are sustainable. I also want to say thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys allow this kind of stuff to happen. All the research, all of the eBay listings that I scour through to find for you guys and hopefully entertain you, it's because of my Patreon team. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon member, it's patreon.com/actionfiguregrader. Let's go ahead and dig right in. Most of the stuff I have here is graded, but I think, include a few ungraded items, and I try to mix it up. You know, the last market update was mainly ungraded vehicles and things like that. Well, this batch is going to be mostly graded. So this is another baggie from this same seller, Villains. I like that name of the eBay seller, Villains! Exclamation point. Anyway, he already sold the Hammerhead baggie that was included in this Sears Cantina playset. So now he's got the Walrus Man, and this is the Made in Hong Kong Walrus Man with the bright blue Kenner. And this is a sealed baggie, so no holes in the baggie. It's not like it's just inserted into a loose baggie and said, hey, this is a baggie. Be careful out there. There's a lot of eBay sellers that do that. I bought a couple of baggies here recently that turned out really nice, but I've started to look at more baggies on eBay, and I've noticed that a lot of sellers say, Anakin Skywalker baggie. Well, guess what? It's just a figure with a loose bag. What good is that? If you want a baggie, get a baggie. Don't buy just a baggie separately with a loose figure, because you're going to end up overpaying for it. So this baggie was nice and sealed. It's a heat sealed baggie. This one sold for $166 and change plus $5.95 shipping. That's about where the Hammerhead sell. I think the Hammerhead sold for just slightly less than that, if memory serves. But they both sold for about $150, $160. This was featured in my What to Buy video last week. This is the SW-A baggie, the Made in Hong Kong with the white text. That's how you can tell. It's a tape sealed baggie with the Made in Hong Kong white text. I did a lot of research before I bought mine, and I bought the other example that this seller had. And this was the one that was not quite as good condition as the one I bought. The one I bought is excellent. It is unbelievable. I got it back in already, and I showed it on my Instagram. I've already sent it off to CAS. It's already arrived at CAS. I expect to get at least an 85 plus on that baggie. But this is the one that was sent as part of the mail-away package. So this was included with the little paperwork, the box, and then this baggie with Boskin there. This was featured on the 21-back secret action figure offer transition cards. So this is just the baggie, and I paid a little bit more for mine than this one. This one sold for $240 with free shipping. I paid about $275 for mine, just for reference point. But it is just absolutely dead mint. I cannot wait to get that one back from the grader. All right, now we got to dig into SW Seller again. SW Seller is a seller I don't know personally. I did buy one figure from him several months back, an AFA 85 Death Star droid, loose graded. And it was great. It was great. I have no complaints about it. Everything arrived safe and sound, and I'm very happy with the price I paid. But, oh... I have no idea what is going on with some of the sales prices. These were all really nice figures, don't get me wrong, but I cannot believe some of the final sales prices. This was actually one of the more reasonable ones. It gets a little bit crazy from here, but this was a first 12 solid dome R2-D2 Hong Kong COO, and it was rated AFA 85. That sticker looks a little yellowing to me. Maybe it's just me, but you know, I think that might have yellowed a little bit since grading, but what do I know? That one sold for $380. Now, I don't think that's actually that bad. I mean, I saw an AFA 85 with a much wider sticker that CIB sold at an auction. Same figure, same grade, and it sold for $460. So this one sold for $380, and I think that price is probably appropriate, given the sticker is probably not really 85 anymore. It looks like it's yellowed. But it starts to get a little crazy from here. Starting with a no COO AFA 85 Princess Leia. And now, in all fairness, this is a tougher COO to find. The no COO, these were sold over in Europe, It was AFA 85, brand new case style, yada yada. Really nice figure, okay? 559. 559 plus 1090 shipping. That's a big boy price. And again, it gets a little crazier from here. Here's a small head Han Solo that sold for $639, and this exact same seller sold this exact same item at this exact same grade a couple of months back for $480. So we went from $480 to $640 plus shipping in 2 months. So, you know, what does that tell you about my collectibles pricing stuff? I don't know. I still think we're at a peak right now. This is the kind of example of massive swings, massive appreciation in price over a short time period that, in my opinion, is not sustainable. And it's a beautiful figure. I'm not trying to say it's not. But no way I'm paying $640 for that. You can get a mint-on card, a really nice mint-on card Han Solo for that price. I'm not saying it's a mint-on card small head Han Solo, but I would take the mint-on card Han Solo over a loose graded 85 small head all day long for that kind of money. I mean, that's just insanity. And just when you think it's even more insane, we had a long eye tubes Sand People AFA 85. Again, it's a desirable variant. The last one I saw sold for about $400, which I thought was crazy. And I was watching this kind of eagerly because this is one that I'm interested in getting to add to my Sand People run, but not at $712.50. I mean, that's like Hollow Cheeks Sand People. You know, the Hollow Cheeks is easily the most desirable, you know, variant for the Sand People, in my opinion, and the prices are kind of in this ballpark, $700 to $800. $712.50 for a long eye tubes Sand People. I mean, this is like almost double what I mean. $300 to $350, maybe $400 at the very top end, but $712.50 is pure insanity. And speaking of insanity, we got a Hong Kong COO Luke Farmboy. Now, this is a letter on Saber Hilt, so this is the earlier Saber, and it was an AFA 85. So admittedly, a very high grade and a beautiful one. Those limbs look a little yellow to me, though. Look at the limbs relative to the torso. So to me, this is probably a little bit older grade, maybe. Yeah, I don't know, or maybe AFA just is not dinging the Farm Boys if they have just a slight tint to them. But $1,046 for this. And, you know, you can get a low grade, admittedly a low grade, double telescoping Luke, I think, in my opinion, for not much more than this. And to pay this kind of money, I just, you know, I don't know what to say. But in my opinion, I've given up on this seller's auctions. I just don't think, I don't feel comfortable with how these auctions end at these price points to feel like I'm getting a fair shake. I'll leave it at that. And, you know, I don't know the seller. You know, he could be perfectly legit, and it could just be buyers that are willing to pay up. And, you know, he only ships to the United States. I wanted to look at the shipping and handling for this item to see if he, in fact, ships worldwide. Because there could be some international buyers that are, you know, that want to buy. I know that CIB typically gets big boy prices because they ship worldwide. But he only ships in the U.S. It says right here, ships to the U.S. and excludes everywhere else. So are you telling me there's a U.S. buyer that's willing to pay $1,046 for a fairly standard Luke Farm Boy, admittedly AFA 85, but, you know, with some yellowing? I mean, look at the discoloration right here. There's all kinds of discoloration going on right here. There's some paint overspray or underspray with the white. I just don't get it. I don't get it, and it concerns me, and I think that you need to keep your eyes open with that seller's auctions. Again, here's another one, AFA 85, Boba Fett, Hong Kong. This was an AFA 85, admittedly. Really, this is a beautiful figure. Beautiful figure. And, you know, it sold for $511.74. I mean, you know, with what Boba Fett's have done, I don't think that's necessarily out of the ballpark. Maybe a little high, but, you know, I've seen plenty of Boba Fett's that have sold in or near that. And this is the lipstick version with kind of the crazy factory overpaint on the visor. I've got one like that. And he does take beautiful photos, beautiful high-res photos for his auctions. So I'll give him credit over there. I love the way they look. So he's got beautiful high-grade items. I'm not trying to say he doesn't. I'm just saying bid with caution. That's all I'm trying to say. Because it just seems like they're so far above other auctions, even on Hakes, for some of those items. I don't get it. Here was a CAS 8032 back A Stormtrooper. Really nice item. It looks like a clear blister to me. It's labeled as a clear blister. It was graded last year. Very low 80 though. It's 80.8. So you know, with AFA, I would wager that this is easily a 75 or 75 plus. It's got a scratch on the card. It's got a pretty decent color breaking crease above the hang tab. Target price sticker. I'm not trying to say it's not nice, and the 590 price point I don't think is that far outside of reality. I don't call that an overpay by any means, but you know, again, it's when you get those those grades from CAS, they're just slightly above 80. You know, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you got to equate that to like a 75 plus or a 75 with AFA. And I think this is a case here where this one would easily score at best a 75 plus with AFA. But really nice item though. I'm not trying to ding that price. I think that's perfectly adequate in this environment. And the same with this one. This is another 32 back A for the Rebel Soldier, the Hoth Rebel Soldier, CAS 85. And beautiful clear blister. It was punched. $599 and change plus $20 shipping, 14 bids. I think that price is fine. I would have no problem paying that price for an AFA, or excuse me, a CAS 85, and it's an 86.4, so it's well above the kind of 85 price, you know, the score target. And I think this one would have a good chance to get an 85 with AFA. So, you know, you just got to keep an eye out, and you got to, you know, make sure it's apples to apples, and kind of think about what's the CAS 85 or 75 versus an AFA. And it's not always the case. It's not always the case that if it's an 85 with CAS, that it'll be an 80 plus with AFA. In my opinion, this one would have a really good chance to be an 85 with AFA. So you just got to really zoom in on these photos. But this is a beautiful example. I think that price was great. No problem there. All right, we got a couple of loose graded Cloud Car pilots. And the first one is an 80 plus Hong Kong. This one sold for $130.27 with free shipping. This was a steal of a price. And I probably should have bid on this, quite honestly. I don't have a loose graded Cloud Car pilot, and I need to get one. This is an 80 plus, brand new case style for $130. That's a great deal. And this is the one that I featured in my last What to Buy video. This is the Lily Letty, same grade, 80 plus, bright yellow. And this is a very, very tough one to get. A very, very tough variant to get. And after I showed it on my What to Buy video, it sold within an hour. So I'm assuming it's a subscriber that bought this one, and congratulations. I think this price was more than fair in the current environment. It's a very, very desirable Lily Letty. I would love to have this in my collection. Congratulations to the buyer. I would, if I was, you know, Mr. Moneybags right now, which I'm not, but if I was looking for this and I had saved up some money for it, I would have no problem paying that price. I think that's a great price. Congratulations. That's a beautiful item. This is one I've got it grading right now. This is the 41 back A survival kit, AFA 80, Leia Hoth with red hair, but it's got some weird thing going on her face there. You can see there's some either mold growing, or there is, you know, some paint just from the fact from being, you know, the wet figure being dipped into the paint and then putting it into the blister before it was all dry, which I think is the most likely culprit there. See, on this one it looks different though. It might just be bad lighting. Let's see. No, you can see right here, you know, she's got a defect going on the face there. And how did AFA score that? That's the question. I'm assuming it got an 80. Yeah, I got an 80 for the figure score, which it should, even though the blaster is still attached to the inside of the blister, which usually gets the 85. This one was dinged down to an 80 because of the factory paint defect there from just probably being slapped into the blister when it was still wet. $761 was the final sales price on that. I think that was very fair price. Just, it's not perfect, but every single figure tells a different story. Every single grade tells a different story, and that is what is so fun, in my opinion, about this hobby, about collecting graded figures. You can look at an AFA 80 over here, or a CAS 80 over here, or an AFA and an AFA 80, and they're all going to be a little bit different. You got to look at the sub scores, you got to look at the photos, but this is a great item. I like it a lot, and I think it's perfectly fine with, you know, in the current environment. This was an interesting one. This seller, Character Building 77, I bought from the seller, by the way. Very well packaged from the UK. Really great seller. So he had this one for sale. This was a cool one. So this was a factory error where the Power Droid's orange paint was shifted down onto that little lip. And so it's a factory error, which is misapplied paint. It's still got the 85 grade, and it says misprint paint for this orange paint being too low. And that one sold for $98 or 80 pounds. I think that's a fair price for kind of a weird, wonky, one-off type of factory error. Same seller also had this Taiwan Boba Fett. I have no idea if that blaster is correct. It looks correct. It looks like the black question mark. I have no idea, but it looks correct to me. And that one, again, was a UKG 85. That one sold for 311 pounds or 383 US dollars. Assuming that blaster's the, whatever it is, the V4, or, you know, I'm not a genius on this stuff, but I think it's a V4 Imperial blaster. That one, that was a good price. Here's another one that was really nice. This was a Hong Kong Luke Skywalker Bespin blonde hair, UKG 85, 90% for the figure score. That one sold for 255 pounds or 314 US dollars. That's not a bad price at all for a nice high grade Luke with the brand new case style. A couple of Luke Jedi loose graded figures sold. This one was an 85, and this one was the No COO, so this would be like a Palitoy Tri-Logo version. Green Saber, that one was listed for $300 plus $465 shipping. Best offer accepted. I did not look up the sales price this time. I apologize, but I'm guessing $275. Here was a Taiwan 85 plus. That was a really nice figure there. Paler paint scheme to the hand and to his face. And that one sold for $271.99 on 15 bids. That was at auction plus $10 shipping. I thought that was a good price there. Leia Bausch is one that continues to have pretty decent prices. This one was not a clear blister. It looks like it's slightly yellowed. And it did have some edge wear and things like that, but just a lot of dust on the card back, probably in storage. 2 price stickers, as well as a little bit of wear around the hang tab. Here's the back of the card. Pretty nice shape overall. So Hong Kong for the figure. And, you know, but, you know, this is a figure that's very tough to find with a clear-ish blister like this one is. Usually they're very heavily yellowed. That one sold for $384. $384. I think that's a great price. I've seen a couple of graded examples with much more yellowed blisters that sold for double this price. So I think this would probably get 75 plus, maybe an 80 at best. And but I think $384 is a great price for that one. Here is the one I got to talk about. This is a fantastic figure. I had it on my watch list as soon as it got listed. And a number of you messaged me about it, and you know, I just shared what knowledge I had about it. It's labeled as a Nikto miscard. This is not a miscard. Nikto was not available on the 48 back transition card backs. These are transition card backs, the free Neonum offer. Only Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars characters were available on this 48 back. So what this is a rare salesman sample. These are very, very tough to find, but this is a common combination. I've seen a number of the Niktos on the Walrus Man card back sales samples that over the years. This is a pretty common combination. It's unpunched. It was AFA 60 because, you know, these are handled internally at Kenner. They would take the figure, mock it up on an overstock card back, and then salesmen would take them out to toy distributors and show what the new Nikto figure is going to look like. So this is mislabeled by AFA. This is clearly an old label because it's labeled as a Nikto miscard, but this is actually a factory sample. Very rare. The Blacked Out Ewoks on YouTube, he's got a few examples like this, and he also has, I believe, a General Maydean on an Empire Strikes Back Luke Hoth. And you know that one has to be a salesman sample because Maydean was not on an Empire Strikes Back card back, but it too is labeled as a miscard. So clearly AFA early on didn't know what they were dealing with on these. This one is definitely mislabeled, and but you know, the price $25.25, I don't know if that's fair or not. I would say that that's probably on the low side, just given what pre-production toys have done for the vintage Kenner run over the last few years. My gut says that at Hakes, this would probably sell for closer to double. But it is a common one. I'm not trying to say this is super rare. It's not super rare. I'm sure there's a number of examples like this because I've seen at least 2 or 3 other examples sell over the last 5-6 years. So, but $25.25 is a great price. It's a really cool item. Here was a 77 back yellow blister Stormtrooper graded 80 by Collector Archive Services, unpunched with a price sticker. That one sold for $495. $495 on 42 bids. I think part of it is because the blister's not so heavily yellowed compared to some I've seen, but it is yellowed. It is yellowed, and you know, $495, is that fair? I don't know. It's unpunched and it's a nice looking example, and it is a Stormtrooper, and any mint on card Stormtroopers these days are going for big boy money. Here was a cool overstock 2-pack. These were available at KB Toys. They basically just slapped in figures with or without accessories into these 2-packs and just threw them in a bin. So they're always beat up like this one is. You can see how beat up the blister is on this one. It was fully sealed though. It looked like it's pulling away above the Vader there where it says action figures below the figures wording. It's starting to pull away a little bit, but it's still factory sealed. That sold for $960. $960. The more wonky or the more cool the combination of the figures inside these overstock KB Toys 2-packs, the more expensive they get. I've seen as low as $300 for very common combinations to as high as $2,000 or more. And there's a guy named Luke W in the Facebook groups. He's got like 100 of these. I mean, it's pretty incredible to see his wall of these 2-packs. And for all I know, he was probably the guy that picked this one up. But it's a cool combination with Chief Chirpa and Darth Vader. You should see his collection on Facebook. He's got just some unbelievable 2-packs. But that's a really nice combo. But $960 took that one home. Couple of Power of the Force last 17 sales. This was an AFA yellowed 80 Warwick. It was unpunched with no price sticker. That sold for $405. Pretty decent price given that Warwick by itself can sell for that, or maybe slightly below that, like $300 to $350. I think $405 is a pretty decent price for a yellowed blister AFA 80 Power of the Force Warwick. And then we had an Imperial Dignitary with a heavily yellowed blister. That one was an AFA 80. That one sold for $305. That's about market. I mean, you know, some loose graded examples can sell for $250 to, you know, $260. So to get one mint on card for not much more, I think that's a pretty good price. And here was the Imperial Gunner. Imperial Gunner continues to command big money on the mint on cards especially. That is some big boy money. $812 took home this AFA 80 yellow blister Imperial Gunner, and that was a punched example as well. Finally, another one that's really been jumping a lot lately is Wicket W. Warwick on the Ewoks TV series card back. This was only an AFA 70, but it was a clear blister. $617 took this one home. So that's one that really has jumped up a lot over the last, you know, let's call it the last year or so. But pretty nice example, but, you know, fairly low grade, a 70 grade, and still paying $617 for it. So clearly my prediction that Star Wars vintage Kenner, anyway, have peaked in price. We got a little ways to go, folks. We got a little ways to go. Still some pretty high prices out there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.